Hey guys, so welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Now, this is our first in-person one, and I'm delighted to be joined by Wes, who is a good friend and client of ours at the agency. He runs a brand called Beast Bites. Now, these guys are an 8-figure supplement business, and they've done some pretty insane things with largely TikTok Shop. And today we're just going to kind of dive into that story. So, Wes, great to have you on, man. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Cool. Well, look, getting straight into it, could you start by just telling us about your background? And I know you've got 2 co-founders at the business, so can you just talk through how you guys met?
Yeah, so Matt and Jack, other 2 co-founders, we've known each other for a little over 10 years now. It's 2024, so we met back in late 2013, late 2014-ish, through another good friend of mine named Joe, and we kind of met through Joe, and later became really solid friend group for the past 10 years, and led a couple other businesses that were in e-commerce early on, like in 2016, 2017, 2018. Then COVID happened. Then, here we are today, 10 years later. So it's been a great ride with them because not only are we founders and we run businesses together, but we're also all pretty good friends. We hang out pretty much all the time, and if we're not really focused on work, we're also just having a great time, either on a trip together or just hanging out at any other destination where we may be. So
okay, yeah. And I know from kind of talking to you before, you actually got started. So the first business venture that you did with these guys was Call of Duty Maps, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
That's a funny little story. So one of the first things we did, we were pretty young. We were still, in late high school, early college days in 2016, I believe. So early 2016, at the time, Black Ops 3 was just released. Now it's 2024. They just released Black Ops 6, so I'm aging myself a little bit. So 2016, late 2015, early 2016, Black Ops 3 was released, and you had to pre-order the disc in person to get the Black Ops 3 Nuketown map, right? And one of my friends didn't get it. Jack, he didn't get the map, so even though he had pre-ordered it. So we were trying to find a convoluted way on how we could get him to play with us because you needed to enter that code. And we found a way where if you went to Activision's website and requested, hey, like I pre-ordered this is my blah, 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 they would generate a code for you and send you one via email.
Okay.
So then we were like, well, if Jack had this issue, how many other people have had this issue, right? So we kind of got together, all of us, and said, let's just see how many of these codes we can get. And we got so many codes. And then we started listing it on eBay and selling it there. And we ended up selling like 8,000 of them.
Wow.
At like the age of 18. So that was kind of our first little dip or stint into e-com. We didn't know what the hell we were doing, but we had a product that had no cost of goods, a digital product, no cost of shipping. So the cost was simply our labor to get the codes. And that is kind of how we started. And then after that, they just made the map free on the game. So we went from, selling all these codes to now the product being free and available to everyone, so we didn't have a business anymore. And then we started to branch off into other things, iPhone resales, CSGO skin sales. We really tried to stay on things that were digital and that you could sell online without shipping the item. Mm-hmm. So codes, skins, maps, whatever we could get our hands on that was digital, we would want to resell that. And that's kind of how we started. And that pretty much lasted up until COVID, when we got banned from PayPal for whatever reason, and eBay, and they all kind of shut us out. So they're like, all right, that's it. We quit. It was like we faced defeat, and we're like, we did enough at that time. So that's kind of how we first got our start into e-com.
Okay. And then how did you switch from, selling digital products to physical products?
So there was a lapse from that point, when we started in 2016 through when COVID happened. I had taken a couple of years gap year off of school, and we were working on these businesses. And then kind of when we got banned from PayPal and eBay and Amazon and all these other payment processors for no good reason at all, really. It was not that crazy of a thing that we were doing. They just didn't like how many digital transactions were going on from our account, so they kind of decided to ban us. So at that point, I decided I'm going to go back to school. I went back to college. I finished my degrees. I finished my bachelor's and master's in architectural city planning. And after that point, COVID was starting to happen. That was 2020, was my senior year of college. And from that point, I said, well, if COVID's starting, we left campus. I was back at my parents' house, and I said, well, I don't really want to stay at my parents' house, and we're not going back to campus because COVID had just started. It was like September 2020. I said, I'm going to go out. I left the country. I started living in Mexico and Cancun for about 3 years, on and off, for the most part, through I graduated with my bachelor's degree in Mexico. And then when I got back to the States, I started working at this corporate firm in my field. I lasted there for about roughly a year or so. And then they lost a bunch of clients and started laying people off. There was a big tech layoff kind of in early 2023. I was a part of one of those because they had a lot of other tech clients and government clients and so on and so forth. And plus, I wasn't really enjoying the job that much, being in the corporate world. So that being said, I took my severance pay and I said, well, I haven't seen Matt in a long time, and I'm going to go down and see him. And he was down in Argentina at the time. And so I hightailed it over. I was in Cancun. I flew down to Argentina with a stop in Bogota, Colombia.
Nice.
And during my stop in Bogota, Colombia, you had to go through security again, through the airport security to get onto the next flight. And in my bag, I had a bottle of creatine powder that was caught by the Colombian security in Bogota. You know, white powder, Colombia, it can get a little fishy. So they confiscated it. I didn't think much of it. I said, okay, whatever, you know, it is what it is. I get to Argentina and I'm there with Matt. I'm asking him, you know, hey, where can I get some creatine powder? Because he goes, why? And I tell him what happened in Bogota. And he goes, yeah, sure. And then I was like, Matt, you know, all my supplements are really in gummy form, you know, my vitamins and my multivitamin, my ashwagandha, this, that, I was taking it all in gummy format, except for creatine was the only thing that I was taking as a powder because there wasn't really a creatine gummy on the market. So I look at him and I say, hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And you're like, yeah, I think we could, you know, do a creatine gummy and make it work, right? There wasn't really any competition back then. So we went home that night, after we had dinner at the restaurant, and we put up a list of like 10 different names that we came up with. Sort of like Beast Bites, this, that. And we wanted to make sure that it wasn't something just simply linked to the product. So we were like, okay, blah, blah. Then, if you remember a little website that's no longer around called omegle.com, we went on Omegle. We put in some search filters like gym enthusiast, fitness, blah, blah, blah. And we started asking people and taking tally, which name of this company do you prefer? And people would answer, okay. And then we'd tally that. Thank you. Have a nice day. And first name that got to 50 tallies was Beast Bites. Yeah. So that's when we were like, okay, go to GoDaddy.com and buy the domain name, right? Literally that same night. And then our kind of goal was, hey, if we can pitch it like this, it was like, if we can just get 5,000 customers a month, we'll be set. You know, we'll replace our corporate salaries and so on and so forth. Obviously, we've exceeded that now, but that was kind of the goal when we had that first talk in the restaurant in Buenos Aires. And since then, you know, we've obviously matured to what we are today. But when we first started that day, it was like we started on Omegle in some random Italian restaurant in Buenos Aires, and then bought the domain, then went back to the United States and worked on the formulation with formulators. With my experience being in more corporate, you know, business development, this and that, Matt was more on the marketing side, you know, doing YouTube and Instagram and now TikTok. And Jack being more of the technical person, we all merged together to be able to say, I'm going to work on this part of the business. I'm going to work on this part of the business. I'm going to work on this part of the business. Yep. And then grow it into what we have today.
Can we just pause there and look at the three co-founders? Because I think this is hugely important because a lot of people when they're starting a business, maybe they've got friends, they're looking at, coming together and doing something. How important was it that you guys were already friends? And then how did you split the roles up? Did you guys already have a focus on each area, or what was that like?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so we had been friends before. We had ran businesses before. So it wasn't like we were getting into bed with somebody new or just our, good old friend from high school, right? So we had known each other for quite some time, and we had ran businesses together, and each of us had something that we could do that was important to the role of the company. I was in, business development, assembling a team together, managing what everyone is going to do, negotiating with suppliers, making sure logistics were done on time. Matt had already been working for the past year or two in YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. So his area was more media expertise, content creation. Jack was always a technically abled person. So he was, the person who built the website, put like the actual logistics together from moving inventory from a 3PL to the main customer, making sure that customer experience is great, and setting up customer service channels and all that stuff, even down to some of the design of the products themselves in terms of the packaging. Jack was great at Photoshop, Illustrator, all the Adobe suite. So everybody kind of had their best. And then we worked together to say, what does the business need to run? And we just kind of applied ourselves. We didn't say, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We just stood up and said, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, you're going to do that, because we all knew each person has key factors within themselves that is able to run that part of the business.
So it sounds like that kind of came together as a perfect storm, rather than trying to force people into certain roles. It was like, this is my skill set, this is my expertise, this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're starting with a core of 3 people right away, and you're kind of splitting the responsibilities, but at the same time, all the decisions are made together as well.
So that's what I was going to ask next is how are you making a decision in that group?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've always kind of had a general consensus. There hasn't really been a lot of disagreements. Maybe does the color of the shopping cart on the website need to be black or blue? And, they're minute disputes. But for the most part, we all are under the same consensus that whatever is best for increasing revenue, whatever is best for the customer experience, that is what we need to do. And not letting our little own biases get in the way. If I may not like this certain detail, but Matt does, I'm just going to say, well, does it benefit the customer? Does it benefit the company? And if it does, I'll eat my shorts, right? So I'm not here to argue and make personal disputes. And that's really something that gets in a lot of people's way, is their ego starts getting in the way. Like, no, I can make the best decision for the team. I can make this. It's not about leaving it up to a committee, right? But you have to have a general consensus and goal that you're working towards. And, take it, SWOT analysis is really a collegiate approach, but taking a SWOT analysis and saying, what are the benefits of this? What are the cons of this? And is this going to move us in the right direction?
Okay. And aside from kind of lack of ego, and kind of having complementary skills.
Yeah.
Are there any tips you'd give to people that are looking at partnerships of things that are kind of must-haves in that relationship?
I wouldn't say must-haves, but I'll say don't-haves, right? So you shouldn't bring someone on just because they're your friend or, they're your drinking buddy or your frat bro.
Which is what most people do, right?
Which is what most people do. Yeah, they have a great idea. They're doing 100% of the work, and then their friend from college that they wanted to get in on it isn't 100% serious about it. And yet now 50% of the ownership is gone into something or somebody that's not really taking care of the business when you are doing that.
Okay. And I think something else that's quite interesting is when you're coming up with this business, this was a gap that you saw, right? You're looking at your own lifestyle.
Yeah.
You're wanting this product essentially.
Yes.
Do you think that's why it was successful?
I think in part, yes. Gummy supplements were already on a trajectory that were going up, right? So and there was a gap in the market where creatine was just not available as a gummy format.
So there were no other competitors in this?
I don't recall any competitors at that time when we started. Obviously, now there's some disputes on who was first around in the marketplace, but for the most part, I think that we were one of the first, if not the first, company to come out with a creatine gummy. Since then, obviously, there's been many more. Yeah, so creatine was already a big category in the market. It was stigmatized as something from the 1980s as only something bodybuilders took, and only came in a powder or a pill format or some sort of Flintstone chew type of supplement, and making it so that it was more accessible to everybody. Because how I like to view it is, if you look at a chart that's like a U chart, right? On the left side here, you have people who are only concerned about price. Like, they don't care about taste or convenience or travelability or anything like that. They say, how many servings can I get for what cheapest price? Those are the people here on the left. And on the right side is people who are not price conscious at all, and people who only want the convenience, they only want the taste. And then you have the majority of people who are in the middle, who may sometimes take powder, may sometimes want to take a gummy, but they're indifferent in between each one. And that was the market that we were targeting, was like most people who are taking creatine, maybe the days that they go to the gym, they'll mix the creatine in with their shake or with their pre-workout. And on the days that they're off, maybe they want to have a gummy. They don't want to drink the creatine, but they'll have a gummy as a snack or dessert to continue that creatine being in their blood flow. So there's all types of different customers that we have that this type of product appeals to them for the most part.
Okay. And jumping on that kind of point and digging in. So I know, as we talked about, this is, first to a trend, first to a new product. You've built an 8-figure business in very quick time. Insane. And a lot of that has been driven by TikTok Shop, which is, another big trend. Can you just talk about your kind of journey on that platform?
So TikTok Shop really came around in May 2023. They had an official start date of September 2023, but they were in beta before that. And we had launched right around April 2023. And immediately in May 2023, we got onto TikTok Shop. So it was still during the beta phase, and they were building it up through that summer to officially, quote unquote, launch in September of 2023. So we were, if not one of the first companies on TikTok Shop, but definitely one of the first supplement companies on TikTok Shop. So we were able to take advantage of the algorithm just a little bit, where for the most part, previously when you had an affiliate or any type of video that was promoting a product on a platform, say Instagram, say Facebook, TikTok, wherever, you would post a video about that product, and then you tell people, hey, use this code to go to this website and check out, and you'll save $1 and I'll make $1 type of thing, right? And TikTok Shop was changing that because you could purchase directly on the app, which is why we see it's such a success today in social commerce, right? And Matt was really one of the drivers of that. He's like, we really need to get on TikTok Shop. We were running ads to the website at the time through TikTok, and he's like, but that's great and all, and we can continue doing that, but we really need to be on TikTok Shop. So we get on TikTok Shop. We're one of the first companies on there, and the algorithm is just loving it. Right place, right time, because it's a unique product. There wasn't anything like it on the market before, and the algorithm was just favoring any TikTok Shop content in the summer of 2023, because also TikTok wanted to prove concept against Amazon, right? So it also changed the way we spent on ads. Like there was a lot of viral videos that went out on the company page, and that's mostly how e-com brands scale, right? They produce a bunch of UGC content, post it to their pages, and then run $1 million of ads spend on it, and then generate sales on their website. We took a different approach totally altogether and said, well, TikTok Shop has this great affiliate system, right? You get affiliates or content creators or influencers, people who are just normal people on TikTok, whether they have 5,000 followers, whether they have 1 million followers. They come and they request a sample. You send them your product, and then they make a piece of content, link your product, and people can purchase it directly on the shop. So instead of them making a video, then saying, okay, guys, go to this website, they swipe off the customer. Swipe off the app, open Safari, go to that website, go to the product, add it to the cart, add their code to the checkout, and then go back to TikTok because that's what we were doing anyway. That conversion rate is extremely low. But if you can just say, hey guys, click right here and buy it now, you can just click, purchase, buy now, done, go back to your video and watch, right? There's no need to enter a code. There's no friction, right? And that's what we saw, and we were like, we have to really take advantage of this. So at that time, there was no TikTok Shop agencies, there was no Discords for creators, there was none of this stuff that existed. So we were reaching out via DM, hey, to this person, do you want to try Beast Bites? Because we had already a couple viral videos on the company account, so they had most likely seen it already. And it was already had like 10,000 sales at that point through the summer. So yeah, like, I want to try it, And we had people reaching out to us. So, but they didn't know how to use TikTok Shop. Most of them weren't even registered to use it. So you'd say, okay, hey, this is so-and-so's phone number, business development director. Please reach out to this person. And we would text these people. They would text us one by one. And we would get on a Google Meet and we would have them share their screen and we'd say, okay, click here, go here, sign up here. This is how you link the product. I'm going to give you a code. This is boom. And then we'd send them the product and that was it, right? So they were making content and we would explain to them, this is a 4-way win streak. There are 4 people to win here. 1, obviously, is the company for generating the revenue. 2 was TikTok for building their shop platform and competing with Amazon and other marketplaces. 3 was the creator because they'd be earning a commission on all the sales that they brought in. And 4 was the customer because they were benefiting from all the incentives that TikTok Shop was giving out. They were giving out discounts to the consumer for nearly 50% off list price that wasn't affecting our payouts. So, our product would be $39.99. Customer had a 20% coupon or 30% coupon or 50% coupon, and they were paying $19.99. But even us, we were receiving the full $39.99.
So TikTok is stepping in and bridging that
They
gap.
subsidized pretty much most of the sales on the platform because nobody trusted the Chinese app to purchase things with their credit card. It's the app where people are dancing. It was Musical.ly, right? It's where, influencers get on and make dances and trends and cringe content. Why would you trust this app with your credit card? So they had to incentivize people with discounts, free shipping, so on and so forth, to make sure that they would be able to trust the platform first. And that was why it was still in beta. It was still kind of buggy. It didn't work so well, but the algorithm was pushing this content. So anytime we had people with 8,000 followers who were getting millions of views, on a basic TikTok Shop video, the algorithm was just sending them the content because it needed the content to grow. Right? Now it's a little bit saturated. It's a little harder to go viral and there's more equilibrium. But at that time, that's how we were growing on TikTok Shop, one by one. At one point, I remember we had 25 or 30 calls a day with creators, back to back, teaching them how to actually use TikTok Shop.
Okay. I do want to come on to kind of how you dealt with creators. Can we just talk to quickly the kind of timeline? So from, you've had the product idea, going through the airport security to creating the product, tried running Facebook ads, and then the TikTok Shop. What was the kind of timeline for each of those steps?
Yeah, so timeline was originally we came up with the idea, the name, but the website, right, that took a day. Okay, and then when we went back to the United States and formulated and this and that, it took about roughly 3 months or so, I want to say, to like actually get something concrete into the ground and running at some sort of small scale. But TikTok ads right away, it was focus on first purchase profitability. Most people focus on LTV, which is what Facebook ads is really about. So we didn't actually start Facebook ads till a year after we launched the company. We were solely focused on TikTok Shop and doing TikTok Shop ads, but because the incentive was there. Not only were they incentivizing the customer to purchase, they were incentivizing us by paying for the shipping to the consumer. Every order had an $11 subsidy to ship out to the consumer. And that was subsidized still, almost to this day, is still about 70-30 split. subsidized, but they're still subsidizing that to the point. And beyond that, they were also subsidizing final value fees. So Amazon was charging 15% on every sale that you make. TikTok was charging 0, meaning that it actually costed more to sell on Shopify at 2.9% per transaction, and TikTok was 0. They weren't even charging you a credit card processing fee. So if you sold an item for $40, you're actually getting 51. You were getting more because of the shipping fee reimbursement. And so you were basically shipping things for free and not paying any credit card transactions. So it would be stupid. It wouldn't make sense for you not to go down that trajectory and path on TikTok Shop because of all the incentives that were there.
Okay. So your first kind of sales come from TikTok?
Yes, the first sales come from TikTok that went over to Shopify to do website conversions.
So was that ads-focused traffic?
That was ads-focused traffic and also a little bit of organic in the early days. And then when TikTok Shop, we finally launched there, that's when like the skyrocket started happening.
What was the timeline between
that was
TikTok
about 1 to 2 months.
Okay.
That was about one. So
quick.
that transition between shifting traffic from TikTok to Shopify to going TikTok to TikTok Shop was around 2 months.
Okay. So it's very quick.
Quick turnaround.
And then since then, what other channels have you added, if any? And what's the success been like?
Yeah. So originally we had started, with a couple thousand units in a small local warehouse. And then we built that up to, double that order and doubled that order and doubled that order and tripled that order to pretty much like Christmas 2023. So like the summer of 2023 leading into Christmas season Q4. And that sector, all our inventory was occupied by TikTok Shop, was allocated to TikTok Shop because we couldn't produce it, our manufacturer couldn't produce it fast enough for us to get it to the warehouse. It was sold before it was even made. And that was a real problem because at one point we were probably negative 3 weeks behind on customer orders being shipped out.
Are you getting penalized by TikTok at that point?
We got penalized by TikTok at that point. So that was like October 2023. We were having our best month ever and like sales were up and, we were the rage. Like everybody wanted a piece of the pie, so to speak. And everybody wanted to promote for Beast Bites and blah, blah. And it was like the newest thing in the supplement community. And it was probably one of the biggest things in the TikTok Shop space. And then an infamous day on November 3rd, 2023, right after, I think November 2nd was our best day ever. And then November 3, TikTok penalized us because of all the late dispatch rate to not have access to any of our affiliates. So right when the main season of Q4 started, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, 2023, we actually had no access to affiliates and affiliates were not allowed to promote our products for 1 month. And that was really detrimental because we had built up from like May through October, all this momentum to get to the peak. And they took a shillelagh right to our knees, right? That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. So we were like, what the hell are we going to do? So we had to revert to ad spend. At that point,
on TikTok?
On TikTok, because we had built such a great affiliate network of organic content through the summer of 2023, we had no reason to spend ads because we didn't have the stock. Anyway, it was selling no matter what. So there was no reason for us to be running ads. So then when the affiliates were taken away, now we need to start running ads again. So we had to, pump our content out again and start, just to kind of maintain that momentum and relevance so that we wouldn't be out of the limelight. And then when December came, we got our affiliates back and we had to start building again from scratch.
Wow.
Like not from scratch because they had like fixed the affiliate, given us access, but like all the content before and anybody who was in the affiliate program had to go and re-register. So, we had, our core 300, 500 people that we told them, hey, go add the product back to your list and blah, blah, all your videos will be reactivated again. But a lot of people didn't get that message. So we had gone from like 10,000 affiliates to 0. And that momentum was really there. So it was about starting over again. But this time it was obviously much more easier because we already had relationships with most of these people. The brand was a little bit more established. Now today, I believe we have 80,000 active creators who have our product in their showcase, not 80,000 creators who have posted on TikTok Shop, but 80,000 creators who have our product in their showcase or some sort of post about it.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Can we dig into that? So in terms of affiliates, creators, how did you start off building relationships with these guys and how did you get that initial traction?
Yeah. So again, the initial traction goes back to DMing them one by one, having those meetings one by one, and trying to keep everybody in-house.
Just to reinforce that point, so you're literally jumping on calls,
on
Zoom,
calls.
text
That does
messaging.
not work today.
Okay.
That was relevant in the summer of 2023, right place, right time, because people didn't know what TikTok Shop was. We had to teach them how to sign up because they really didn't know how. And it wasn't really something we could explain. We had to have them share their screen and do it one by one. And that was very time consuming. It was the right thing to do in retrospect, looking back. Would we do that today? No.
There's a saying, right? Do things that don't scale. And I think that's very apt there.
Yeah. That's not a scalable method for sure, but it's a way to start. Now I think there's too many different agencies. There's too many different creator networks out there that kind of pimp out their creators. They have groups of 300, 400, 500 creators, and they sell you a package and they tell all their creators to post. And it's kind of pay to play now, right? But at that time it was like, yeah, sure, I'm getting a free product from Beast Bites. It's really cool. And I get to make 30%, commissions. And
did they believe in that, or did they just want the free product at the start?
No, I think they believed in it because we told them, again, it was a 4-way win streak, right? Because TikTok was building their platform. We as the company were getting revenue. They were making a commission and the customer was saving money. So we explained that instead of us as a company spending hundreds of thousands of dollars running ads, you as the creator can benefit from the allocated ad spend budget because you're going to get 30% commission. Mm-hmm. Now for us, we looked at it a little differently. Yes, we are giving back to the creators instead of giving back to the corporations to run Facebook ads and TikTok ads and Meta and Google and YouTube and all that stuff. We're giving back to the people, but also it was content that was being produced at no cost.
Yeah.
The cost of one unit of inventory plus shipping. So that being said, they had incentive to make that 30% commission, which was very high. Mm-hmm. If most affiliate programs are 10, 15, maybe 20%. We added that 10%. We let's go to 30%. So when a customer when a creator was selling a product, let's say at $34.99, and they were making 27 whatever percent commission, they were making $9 a sale. Almost a third of the sale was going to the creator. But what we knew is that what most companies don't realize is, this is a fixed cost per acquisition. The creator will go and create all this content. You don't have to put any ad spend behind it. You can now. At that time, that wasn't possible. Creator was going out and creating all this content, no ad spend, but when the sale occurred, you paid a commission, right? And then people no, we're not going to give away 30% of our margin. But you would rather pay, Mark Zuckerberg $50 per acquisition, and you don't know what the cost. It could be fluctuating. One day it could be $1, next day it could be $100. You don't know. I've seen CPAs as high as $200, for items that cost $30 to $40, right? So when you have a fixed cost per acquisition and it incentivizes the creator to go out and make content, it's a win-win for everybody. And that's how we looked at it. And I think that's one of the reasons why we were so successful right off the get-go.
Okay. Can we just talk more about building that creator network? So you started off, you're having these one-to-one chats, you're getting people signed up. Was it initial, success? Everyone's killing it. They're posting really good videos, driving sales, or what did that look like?
For the most part, yes, a lot of the original, first couple hundred people had great success. Some of them were as young as, 16, 17 years old. They weren't influencers with 1 million followers. They were kids in high school who had 8,000, 10,000 followers. They were going up doing interviews in the locker rooms with their friends and buddies. They were, creating stupid content or just sitting in front of the camera and talking like a, real human. And that really appealed to a lot of people because it wasn't a big sell. It didn't look like sponsored content.
Authentic.
It was authentic. People just did it. It wasn't like the company paid this guy 10 grand to go make a video. And he shouted it out on his Instagram story for 10 seconds, reading off a script that was made by the marketing. Yeah. And that's another thing. We never told people what to say. They're like, you do what you want. You take this product and you go out and create content the way that you want to do it. And after a while, you know, you get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. It's hard to manage people by iMessage that way or WhatsApp, right? So, you know, we tried to build out a Discord, didn't really work so well. So we just kind of let the top fizzle up. You know, we monitor who's performing the best.
And are you sending like guidelines for posting and things like that
never,
at this point?
Never.
Okay.
Never. We have never done that. We're not starting to, because we're not going to tell people what to say. We want them to post about their experience, post about what they like about the product and how they feel they can sell it to their audience and make a commission doing so. Mm-hmm. But it should be authentic. We don't want our brand voice to be, you know, pushed out through or amongst these affiliates. We want them to speak on their own and do what they want.
I get that. Do you think that's impacted success rates of your affiliates? Do you think you could have made it easier in a way if you did take that approach?
I don't think it would have been. I think we took the right approach, letting them do what they want, let their creative freedom roll, which is how we always used to end the chats with the creators. And I used to tell the creators all kind of the same thing, and it's a little bit of a gambling analogy. We like to spend a lot of time in Vegas. So every time, I would tell this to creator, every time you post on TikTok, it's like spinning the roulette wheel. You know, you can put a bet on black or red, and every time you spin the wheel, it's like posting a video. If you hit black or red, yeah, you win a little bit of money. You know, you get a little better at posting. But the times that you put $100 on 0 or 7 or whatever, those are the ones that pay 35 to 1. Those are the videos that go viral and get you the majority of the sales and bring in the majority of the revenue to the company. But you have to keep playing. And when you hit, you don't get off the table and go start playing somewhere else. Yep. You stick to that bet. You keep hedging that bet and increasing it and doubling it so that you can continue to win more and more and more. So they have to go out and practice and incentivize them. Like, I'm not just going to make one video. Hey, this didn't work out. The hell with these guys. I'm not going to promote them anymore. But like, yeah, I'm going to continue posting until I hit, you know, until I get my blackjack, until I hit the 0 on the roulette wheel. That's how we kind of sent them off at the end of the call, being like, you got to try, keep betting, keep playing. And eventually you're going to hit it.
So there's a lot of work going into this to convince these guys to get them to take that approach.
Usually a 30 to 40 minute call. Wow. That was the original. And then afterwards, it was too many to manage on a one-on-one basis.
Can we talk about that? So
exactly.
Now you're at that level.
Now you're at that level. Now you're at that level to where you cannot manage them one-on-one. Yeah. So the cream of the crop, or the top 10, the top 20, the top 30 who are revenue generating every month, we select them. Those are the people we're going to talk to individually. Those are the people that we're going to be on a phone call basis with, a text message basis with. The top 10%, the top 5% of creators who's generating the most revenue for the company, and that's who we talk. And that changes on a month-to-month basis. It can be the same person for a couple months in a row, and it can be kind of the same group of people. But for the most part, usually somebody new comes up into that list, or a few people new come up into that list at the end. And TikTok has great tools to where you can see who's generating the majority of GMV. They call it gross merchandise value. I just call it revenue, but they call it GMV. They all have these little acronyms that are specific to TikTok Shop. So GMV is gross merchandise value. And so we pick who we're going to talk to that month, and we continue maintaining that relationship with them. We also now partner with a lot of TAPs, TAP, or TikTok Affiliate Partners. And those are, again, the agencies that are, quote unquote, leasing or telling their creators who are in their Discord or email list or whoever to go out and post this product for an increased commission. So we've kind of offloaded a little bit of managing maybe just the top, and then the majority being managed by 10 or so different agencies.
Okay. And for those top guys, is there anything that stands out to you of commonalities between those people of why they're your top guys?
It can vary. I mean, there's always something that's trending and that somebody capitalizes on early, really quick. That you just don't realize it until it's already been happened.
Okay.
Right? So it's hard to predict what the next trend is going to be. it's hard to predict that Spanish language was going to be a big driver in the summer of 2024. Spanish content accounted for almost 50% of revenue in the summer of 2024. Now, that's obviously tapered out a little bit, but because there was a big trend where TikTok was suspending creators for no reason and giving them violation points, but the same video that was made in Spanish was just fine.
Wow.
So that led to people doing videos in Spanish. And again, you know, in the United States, 30% of people can speak Spanish or Hispanic Latino origin. So there's opportunities and ebbs and flows. There's no like plug and play. This isn't Amazon pay-per-click. It isn't Google Ads. It's really unique and intricate social commerce, building trends and capitalizing on those trends, and also the sales and incentivizing customers to make that purchase right there and then, make that impulse purchase. And then continue to also come again and buy again when they see it again. They're always reminded of it, because it's not just coming from the company account. It's coming from tens of thousands of different random accounts, and that you don't have to be following. It's not like Instagram where you swipe and you only see people that you follow. It's TikTok where it's the For You page. You see millions of accounts that you don't even know who they are, and they could be promoting our product.
Okay. Are you incentivizing that top batch differently, or is everyone getting the same kind of commission and payout?
Yeah, so some of the agencies might have, an increased percentage, like 5% more. Some of the top creators might be on any special deals. I believe the days of paying per post are gone. I mean, that's kind of how it was in the summer of 2023. Nobody asked to pay for a post. And then like in 2024, people started to say there's more brands that need creators than there are creators available. So the economics of supply and demand are like, well, now we got to start paying these people. We stayed away from that model. We don't like it. We don't like paying people before they make content, because we feel we're already incentivizing you with a high commission percentage that's over 20, 30%. You want a couple $100 up front, then you have to manage all these payments. It's just a hassle, because there's too many. It's not like a one by one thing. It's like 10,000, 20,000 people. You start paying all these people a couple $100 to post. One, you're running up the budget. Two, you're disincentivizing people to continue posting. They want to do one post, get paid, and that's it.
It's not aligned.
It's not aligned with our vision, our goal. So we want to make sure that people are incentivized to continue spinning the wheel, continue posting. Right? I go back to that analogy, but it's true. It's almost like a gambling addiction. They want to continue posting because they want to say, okay, well, that video went viral. I'm going to do something similar. Maybe I can get another viral video soon and continue playing the game. It really is a game, because 99% of the TikTok shop videos get no views, zero, like maybe 20, 30 views, 2 likes. That's the majority. And the 1% that does great and consistently replicates it over and over again, most people look up to those people and try to replicate what they're doing. But again, it's also a little bit of luck in there as well.
Okay.
A luck of the algorithm.
When did you start talking to agencies and using these kind of creator networks?
So we had started using agencies and taps about a couple months ago, I would say maybe March, April 2024. We got introduced to a couple people from Brands Meet Creators. Shout out to Mike Rama. If he's watching this, I'll send him the video. He was one of the first agencies that we had partnered with, and he had built, this affiliate network originally that was, posting to Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff, and they transitioned that into TikTok Shop. Okay. So it took agencies like that, creative agencies who were primarily just UGC focused, posting UGC content on Instagram and TikTok for pay per video, to transition into a bonus commission model on TikTok Shop. They weren't around in the summer of 2023 on TikTok Shop. Those agencies started to kind of happen around December, January, February, in that 2024, end of 2023 era. So it took them like probably 6 to 7 months to actually start becoming a thing. And then they came on the scene, and, we'd have to push back on a lot of them because they really wanted to charge these insane rates. And I was like, guys, the days of paying someone $5,000 per post for an Instagram post, it's dead.
Yeah.
Like that is not the way things are going right now.
So were they pitching you kind of fixed fee?
Yes, a lot of them were. Yeah, $6,000 a month gets you 30 videos, and it's just like, we're not doing that. We've had success not doing that. We're not going to start now.
So
what is
2015? What is the model you like, and what you're doing with these agencies?
We do a boosted commission, so it incentivizes them. We say, okay, if the commission rate is 20%, any of your affiliates will get 25% just for being in your agency. And you as the agency will get 5% more for the agency.
Is that on top?
On top. So say if the original commission is 20%. So now you're talking about a 30% spread, and 10% of that bonus, half is going to the agency and half is going to the creator to incentivize them to continue posting. Okay. So let's say if they're doing, $1 million of revenue from that agency, they're making 5% of that. It's better for them than the fixed fee. Okay. But you have to show them that. And a lot of them were kind of hard-headed and didn't want to take that approach. But when you tell them the number, you could make 5% of $1 million, $2 million. It makes more sense then. They're like, yeah, and then you're forcing them to perform. Because if they're not performing, they're not getting anything.
If they believe in their product, they're going to love you. If they don't, they're not going to do it.
Exactly.
So it's self-selecting. Okay, that's really interesting. And then I guess for them, so you're paying them to remove your headache, right? So instead of having to manage all these creator relationships, they take care of that.
I wouldn't say removing a headache, but it's bringing on additional people that we didn't have access to before. Because, the way that TikTok Shop works, it's an open collaboration. Anybody can, if you have 1,000 followers or more, sign up for TikTok Shop, go to the product marketplace, add your product to their showcase, and just request a sample and start promoting it, or they can purchase a sample, right? They can start, it's their own business. They can do whatever they want. But some people prefer to join agencies because maybe they might get a guaranteed deal, right? Or they want to learn how to do TikTok Shop. There are, Discords out there like media labs that are ran by influencers like Alex Sedlak, who they have built this influence and these courses now that drive people in through these funnels, people who don't know how to do TikTok Shop. They're not content creators, but they want to learn how to become one because they want to make $10,000 a month in commission. They want to make $15,000 a month. They see all these other people doing it, and they're like, I want to learn. So they'll buy into this course, this Discord, and then they'll be a part of this community. And then, the moderators in that community will say, hey, Beast Bites is doing this, click this link to get a sample, and then, or this brand is doing this, they get that opportunity that they didn't have before. So those are the people that we weren't reaching. Those are the people that, do not have a TikTok Shop account, did not have a TikTok profile to begin with. So they were a casual user. Yeah. They were young, casual users who, for the sole intent and purpose, want to promote products to make money as a means to benefit themselves, right? They're not influencers. They're content creators. They're TikTok Shop creators. So when you're talking about agencies like, Brands Meet Creators, Media Labs, and they're building a business, right? They're teaching people how to do this. And they're bringing down the cost for brands. So they're saying, okay, yeah, we'll do a 5% rev share with you guys. They're smart because they're like, well, we believe we can train all these people in mass to promote your product. And in turn, that'll generate that revenue for the company. It'll generate the revenue for the agency, and the creators will make money on their commissions. So it's we always believe in that win-win-win approach. We always want everybody to win. We're not trying to run, a tight ship and say, no, we're only going to make all the money and this and that. No, we want to share. We want to make sure that anybody who works with us is benefiting from us. And that's why I believe in a lot of percentage deals. I want people to perform.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how are you finding these agencies and these networks?
They're out there. A lot of them are on Twitter. I'm a casual user on Twitter, so I find a lot of people on Twitter. Not so much LinkedIn for these type of agencies, but Twitter has been a real one. There's a lot of people out there on Twitter who purport to have some sort of agency, but you can when you get on a call with them, and you can kind of right away feel them out. If they have like a plan, they have an action, hey, we have this many creators and so on and so forth, and this is how much it's going to cost, and we'll do a rev share split and so on. If they have access to all those tools in the TikTok Shop partner program, they're a great agency. If they don't have access to those tools and they're just asking for a bunch of upfront payments to, pay their coaches, and quote unquote, stuff like that, usually you're talking to a bad agency.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I guess let's kind of look at that then. So we talked before, you've had some bad experiences with agencies, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
When you're getting on calls with people, what are you kind of looking for and looking to avoid?
We're looking, to avoid people who want massive upfront onboarding fees.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like to work with people who say, yeah, we need an onboarding fee that's going to be 15 to 20 grand. That's going to get you this. Shut up. We've gone through this enough. People who know what they're talking about, who believe in their product, will always do a percentage of rev share or some sort of commission based.
Will you only do commission deals now?
No and yes. I mean, I understand some people need a retainer for baseline operations when we're not, doing anything serious. So we opt for sometimes maybe a small retainer on a month-to-month contract with some sort of commission or incentive for them, whether it's a percentage of ad spend or whatever. But it has to be profitable. Like we want to make sure that everything that we do is profitable. We don't believe in overspending to push top-line revenue and just get a bunch of customers at cost, right? Or no profit, or maybe even negative profit, just to acquire the customer. That's not really the way that we operate. So everything we look at it holistically, we're going to say, okay, does this agency, how do they operate? Do they believe in first order profitability? And if they do, they're a great fit and they're going to work with us pretty well. We're fast paced. We don't like slowness. We like to, we grow fast. Right? So we want to make sure that those agencies align with our values and our internal team's workflow. And if they do, great, it's a fit because it's an extension of our team. We don't view agencies as offloading work. We view them as a part of our team. Every agency that we work with is on our Slack. We communicate with them. We try to have a weekly or biweekly call, just check in on everything all the time because we view them as an extension of our team, essentially, because that's what they are. At the end of the day, they're doing something that you would otherwise do in-house. So now they are an extension of your team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now could we talk about some of the different channels? So Facebook, can we start with kind of meta ads? What are your thoughts on that as a channel for acquisition and how are you using it?
Facebook ads, I mean, from what I hear, I wasn't really in the Facebook ad space from when it was popular, in 2014, 2015, was that really when its heyday was?
Yeah.
And I didn't experience it then. So far, they say people said, Facebook ad was great then. Now, from what I've seen, I mean, the cost per clicks are high, the cost per acquisitions are high, the spend just isn't getting out. We have tens and tens of thousands of content pieces that we pull from TikTok and use on Facebook, and it just doesn't do as well. The CPA is high. I don't really believe that Facebook is it right now. I think that TikTok is primary and Facebook is secondary. For some brands, that may be the opposite, but for us and all the other brands that we own and operate, we do TikTok first.
Do you think there's certain types of products for different channels? So maybe, higher AOV, different type of thing is better for Facebook and you guys, Beast Bites, better suited to TikTok?
I think so. I think, there's opportunity in both, marketplaces and platforms to make something work. I'm just not too intertwined into Facebook. I'm not a fan of the way that it's managed. You have to have a personal Facebook account linked to your business one, and that's the only way that it can operate. And you can't really post a reel and make it an ad. It has to be, through the business manager. It's so convoluted and complicated, and we strive for operational efficiency. We want to do what's efficient for our team. We want to do what's efficient for our customers. And if having a high CPA is not really friendly to first purchase profitability, which is why we kind of shy away from Facebook and meta ads. We want to engage in it. But if it's not profitable, it's like, let's turn our backs and go back to who we know and love, which is TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thoughts on kind of other channels like Google, Pinterest, Snap?
We haven't used, so we've only used Google ads, we've used Facebook, and we've used TikTok. Those are the three primary drivers. We haven't really gotten into Snapchat ads. I haven't really heard much success from Snapchat ads, but Google ads for the most part, I mean, it's slightly beneficial, I would say, at least in our category for right now. because the search term, we see more people searching for the brand name as opposed to the product. And that's driven by TikTok. So TikTok is pushing all this traffic to Google search, to Amazon. It's spilling over. It's hard to quantify, but we're not going to go out and spend money on Google ads just for people to go and search our name. It's already at the top.
Yeah.
So that's what we saw. When we were running Google ads, it was like the majority of the ad spend was going to the word Beast Bites or whatever. It wasn't going to search for creatine gummy. It wasn't going to search for, protein brownie. It was Beast Bites, and we were already the second listing below. So it was like sponsored and then our website. So what was the point?
I think a lot of agencies love to mop up that kind of branded search and pretend
for
that
sure. Yeah,
it's
SEO agencies, Google Ads agencies. Like, look, you saw an 80% of increase to traffic on your website. It was like, no shit. All people were searching Beast Bites on Google, and we had like 20 viral videos on TikTok. Of course they were searching it because they didn't want to buy it from TikTok Shop. They wanted to buy it maybe from the website. They don't trust TikTok. That's just how it is.
Do you think there's an element on this kind of marketing channel discussion of stick to what you know best, and you can scale to, pretty insane levels as you guys have done with just kind of, one channel instead of trying to do 4 or 5 at a lower level?
It really comes down to the virality of the product, right? So if you have a unique product like we did, which is really not like anything else on the market, you'd say, yeah, stick to a couple channels, Amazon, TikTok, Shopify, and just make it work on those channels as opposed to trying to mix into the Walmart and Target marketplace and, doing Google ads and SEO and this and that. No, just do TikTok Shop and the spillover will occur on its own. But if you're doing like some sort of drop shipping product where it's like some sort of, I've seen these loofahs, loofahs that are like 5 cents from China being sold on TikTok Shop for like $20. It's like premium loofah, great for your skin. Like I can go to Alibaba and there's like 200,000 listings of a loofah that you can purchase. So it's not really a unique product. But if you have a unique proposition, a unique selling point of your product, and you can say, this is marketable, people will like this, and people will see it on their For You page and actually want to engage with that type of content, then yes, TikTok Shop will be that great route. I would say, focus on 1 or 2 channels, or maybe even one solely. I have no brands now that have been built on solely TikTok Shop alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
You touched on it there. I want to talk about Amazon and kind of the retail experience first. Many people would say Amazon or TikTok Shop, is the evolution of Amazon. What would you say to that, and how have you found kind of the experience on Amazon?
Yeah, experience on Amazon. We got into Amazon late, like 1 year after we started the company, we got into Amazon. And the reason was we just simply didn't have enough inventory to be sending into Amazon because TikTok was eating up all of it. Like if there was inventory left, it was going to the website. But Amazon just really didn't have that drive for us yet. We knew we needed to be on Amazon, and we probably, the opportunity cost of not being on Amazon during the viral moments of Q4 2023 probably lost out on a lot of sales. There was a lot of people searching for the product on Amazon. It just wasn't there. We had an account which didn't have inventory allocated to Amazon because obviously it was more profitable to sell on TikTok. So we wanted to do what was best for the company to keep rolling in that cash flow, right? So now on Amazon, it accounts for a very healthy percentage of all the sales of the company. So Amazon, obviously, people are looking for the product to begin with. So people are searching Beast Bites, people are searching creatine gummies or any other products that are being marketed on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, or YouTube Shorts. People are going to search for that product or similar products, and you want to make sure that your relevancy is there. Sold and shipped by, shipped by Amazon, so on and so forth. You want to be on Amazon because it's reputable. Yes, it costs 15% or whatever the fee is now to sell on Amazon, but 50% of all transactions online occur on Amazon. You have to be on Amazon. There's no way around it. So with Amazon, it's bigger than TikTok, but you don't have a chance to go viral on Amazon. That's the thing. You can go viral on TikTok and go from selling 50 units a week to 10,000 units a day on TikTok within the span of a couple days of a viral video.
That's insane.
You can't do that on Amazon. Yeah. But the effect that has from TikTok to Amazon is the spillover, and you want to capture all of that.
Okay. And are you doing pay-per-click on Amazon, or is it just kind of, like you said, mopping up the spillover?
Yeah, you do a little bit of advertising on Amazon just to kind of be at the top of the listing when people are searching for products or the brand, but not necessarily overdoing Amazon ads and pay-per-click, to a certain amount.
So is that working for kind of like net new acquisition, or is it really just, I'm searching Beast Bites and you're at the top?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, it works for both. We try to keep our budgets for ad spend on Amazon pretty limited because we want to see the flow from Meta and TikTok. How does that influence Amazon when ads are turned off, let's say on both platforms for whatever reason? How much decrease does that result in an Amazon sale? When they turn on, how much increase does that go up? I would say it's usually roughly 25% increase when you're running ads on the other platforms to siphon into Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Can we talk retail? So I know we were chatting before. You've had a lot of success with kind of smaller mum and pop type shops. Yeah. You're now trying to kind of ramp up and go more aggressive there. What's the kind of journey been like on the retail side?
Retail, yeah. So originally we had people reaching out to us in the summer of 2023 from small mom and pops across the country that own supplement stores and say, hey, I saw your product on TikTok. Can I get it in my store? We didn't know anything about retail. We're e-commerce guys. Like we don't know anything brick and mortar, but we were like, yeah, sure. So we sent them an invoice on Shopify, and they're like, hey, this is great. People are coming in and buying it, and then we got more and more and more. We tried to do a little bit of outreach. Right after that, we're like, yeah, if people are coming to us, what if we do outreach? That outreach didn't go so well. A little bit of email marketing here and there, sending some cold emails, making phone calls. And it was like, I don't think it was there yet. So then we brought some people onto the team to, their sole purpose was to, go out to retail stores, find customers and build that book of business with, and build those relationships with the retailers. So right away, you can't expect to go into Walmart and Target and Costco. Like those are.
So they want to see like a track record with.
They want to see, yeah. I mean, if you can prove concept, which is what we're trying to do, we're like, well, there's a market. People are coming in. People are asking us, hey, can we get this for our store, right? So if we bring a person in, we're going to get into like small mom and pops to regional stores that have maybe 20 to 30 stores in their chain, and maybe some distributors that then help us to distribute all the products to these smaller stores who may want to buy less than a master case quantity. Say, for example, each box comes with 50 units or whatever, and some stores can't afford to buy that. They're small. They want to buy 10 units, 5 units for their store. So they go to the distributor to buy most of their stuff because they can get it in a smaller quantity. So that being said, we bring on some people, we do a lot of cold outreach, we do a lot of, in-person targeting, going to the stores, traveling around. And it was really an easy sell because you'd say, look at the TikTok, this is trending, this should be in your store. And they'd be all over it. They'd be like, yeah, we want it. So we went from like coast to coast and grew the retail network to around 1,000 stores through the distributors. So building trust with a couple of retailers who happen to be friends of friends who owned a store. And that person would recommend us to one of their other buddies who owns a couple other stores, and a little bit of word of mouth and, hey, who's this guy and who's that guy? And building up that little network. And plus, it's not like they're buying a generic product that, hey, this is another protein powder. This is another pre-workout. This is just another creatine brand. There's nothing special about them. This was like, no, creatine. We never had a creatine gummy in our store before. Yeah, we'd love to carry it. Can you guys come do a sampling event? Can you come to our new store opening? So we did all those kind of things. We went to their store openings. We sent them a lot of samples, enough that they could share with customers, put them on the shelves close to the checkout so people would see them and be like, oh, that's the thing I saw on TikTok. That's cool. You guys have that in the store. And then the distributors obviously would report back to us, hey, this is another batch of 50. These are the people that we sold to. Add them to your website so people know. Like when they click on the link and say, oh, where to buy, they can just put their zip code and say, okay, I'm going to go check it out in the store as well. And that works great. we built up that network, and then we got into some of the biggest distributors of nutritional sports nutrition in the country. And then now we're looking,
Just to clarify, so those distributors will then push it out to their network.
So our salespeople sell to the distributors, and then the distributors have a team of salespeople who call the stores in their book of business who might not have enough quantity to purchase hundreds of units, but they want to buy a couple.
Okay.
So they'll do the work of selling the 5-unit orders, the 10-unit orders, the 20-unit orders, but they're purchasing pallets from us. So we're sending to their warehouse pallets, and they're then redistributing that amongst to the stores across the country.
So was that kind of step 2? So you started off kind of step 1, going direct almost to the mom and pop stores.
Yeah.
To then scale that up, you've then worked with the distributors.
Exactly.
And then is step 3 then kind of big box retail?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, exactly what you just said. You start with the small mom and pops. Those are the ones who are willing to take on the product independently. Some of them say, no, we only purchase from distributor. We don't purchase directly from brands because they only want to have one distributor that they go to, and that's it. So they're like, okay, who's your distributor? Oh, so-and-so and so-and-so. Do you have a contact for them? Yeah, here, this is my guy. And so that's how we got it in. You're like, hey, this person said you're their distributor and you don't have our product and they want our product. And they're like, oh, yeah, we've heard of you guys on TikTok. We've seen this stuff. So we'll bring you guys in. Sure.
Okay.
And it was like that. It was really a lot of word of mouth, a lot of like old fashioned salesmanship.
Yeah.
That we had particular people on our team. And so now that we've proven the concept that it works from small mom and pops to, regional stores with 20 to 30 locations, we want to get into that bigger box retail. We've proven the concept for them, to the likes of Target, to Walmart, to Costco, and Scheels and Dick's.
I do want to come on to that, but just kind of going back to what you touched on before about activating kind of some of these retail locations. You said, store openings, testers, samples, things like that. In your eyes, what is the best way to activate at the early stage in these smaller stores? What is the best way to activate in retail?
The best way to activate is really to have a person who's dedicated to that sector of the business. If you're trying to do it yourself, you'll really go insane. You need somebody who is, one, a strong salesperson, someone who has the tenacity to continuously follow up with those people, because most of these retail people, at least in the small sector, right, in the small mom and pop to medium sized, they're really relationship based.
Yeah.
They want to make, 30, 40% at their stores. And if you can give them a product like that and drives customers in, they're all over it. But the second you start doing things that they don't like, they're going to be pretty upset. So it's a very delicate relationship that you need someone on the team to maintain. And again, going to those events that they, want you to be at. Having a presence of the brand physically is really important to those people. So at the start, for a lot of people, most e-commerce and brands in general, they don't have the ability to have a staff that's dedicated to a retail arm of the business. But I think once you get into that space, if you have a unique enough product that, can be in retail, you should probably bring someone on to help you with that.
Okay. And now, do you split the kind of country up into regions and have different people, or are you one person does everything?
No, yeah. So we now kind of sub it out to 1099, independent contractors that are focused. One might be focused on a certain big box retailer. Another one might have a relationship with another big box retailer. And the thing is with the big box retailer guys, they have a review. It's not like the small guys where you can just call up and say, hey, you want 20 units of this? And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Send it over. Send me an invoice. Yep. Those guys have line reviews. They have to make space on the shelf. They have to make a use case for the product. There's so many different things. And it usually takes like 6 months to a year of working with those people to then finally say, here's the purchase order. It's a pretty lengthy process. So it's not enough for one person to manage. It definitely takes a team. And usually there's a lot of people specializing in selling to certain stores, and they run their own agencies doing that. And that's what we're doing now. Okay.
So the agency route is the best way to get into the big box guys. But once you've proven
I think once you prove it, it's a little easier. If you try to do it right off the bat, unless you have an extremely, extremely super, super viral product that's just selling like crazy, then you can just go directly into big box retail. But for the most part, I think you should probably prove it in small scale first.
Okay.
At least that's my opinion.
Very interesting. How do you feel like in a business having almost these different verticals of, TikTok shop versus retail versus, Shopify? Is that hard to manage, having those different kind of models running side by side?
No, not necessarily. I mean, most legacy brands, that's how they operate, right? TikTok was just new into the mix. When Amazon came out, nobody really knew what it was. Then people started shopping on Amazon. Now TikTok is kind of the new Amazon, but it's our bread and butter, right? We built on TikTok first before we built on Amazon, before we built on retail. And we just kind of did it the opposite way. A lot of brands that were already established, they were established in retail, they were established on Amazon and their website, and they came on to TikTok Shop after. We did it the other way. We went TikTok Shop first, then established in Amazon, then established in retail. So yes, if you're a small team, it can be quite difficult to manage. There's like, this is going on in Amazon, this is going on in TikTok, and there's all these meetings, and you're like, where do I put my focus? But if you have somebody, dedicated to one arm of the business, it can be beneficial to, activate all. And as long as you have enough inventory to support all the sales channels, go for all of them. Go international, whatever it is.
Okay. Let me ask about that then.
Yeah.
So international, what are your views on different markets?
We're still 100% based in the US. We're looking at a lot of options. TikTok really loves us, so they've offered us some position in other markets for, like TikTok Shop UK. There's some murmurs that TikTok Shop Mexico is coming out soon. That those will take place. But you really like exporting out requires also, a merchant of record, to export to the UK or to Mexico, or because if you're not manufacturing in those countries, you're obviously going to have to go through the hoops and regulations of being registered to do business in those countries. So if you're really small and starting out, I don't think that's the way. But once you get to a certain level and you're like, well, how do we expand even more? I think you start to look at those things, although I can't speak from experience yet. Hopefully we'll expand into the United States, Canada, Mexico, the UK, Europe, maybe some other countries as well.
Okay. So that's on the kind of roadmap for 2025?
That is, yeah.
Okay, nice.
For sure.
We've talked a lot about kind of marketing and the front end of the business. I now want to kind of look behind the curtain. So product development is my first kind of next topic. I know you've launched some new flavors recently. Could you just talk through the process for kind of coming up with those ideas and maybe testing different flavors and different ideas?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we go back and forth. Originally, we started with one flavor and one product, right? We had the Beast Bites creatine infused gummy sweet blue raspberry flavor, and we sold that solely throughout the entirety of 2023. In 2024, we launched a strawberry flavor, which was a great hit because that was our most requested comment on TikTok, actually. It was like, great, sweet blue raspberry, I've tried it, but do you guys have other flavors? Can you make a strawberry flavor? Can you do this? Can you do that? So we'd have our people reading those comments and kind of compiling like, what are the most people thing that are saying? Most thing was strawberry. So we launched strawberry creatine gummy. That was our second flavor. And then we wanted to go, let's add 4 more. Let's make it 6. So we added watermelon, we added Hawaiian, we added pink lemonade and sour peach rings. So those are what we call like popular flavors, in American pop culture. Like Hawaiian fruit punch. Yep. If you've ever seen like those big like gallon jugs of Hawaiian punch with the little guy surfing on it, that flavor is based on that. The little sour peach candy rings that are sold, I don't know if you're from the UK originally, so I don't know if they have those in the UK. So it's like a peach, a yellow orange peach. It's a circle with a hole in it like a donut, and it's called a sour peach ring. That flavor is based upon that candy. So
were these requested as well? Or
these were all requested. Okay. We had things like gummy shark, sour peach rings, Hawaiian punch, all sorts of different candies and sweets that are, gummies and candies that people wanted that flavor in their thing. So we kind of looked at what the candy market was and said, okay, that's a classic. That's nostalgic. Let's do this. Let's do that. And, we went from blue raspberry I don't know how popular that is in Europe, but in the United States, like blue raspberry is this fake conglomerate of raspberry and pineapple, and it's just an artificial flavor that is unique to the American taste, but then people just wanted those other ones. So we added those in. We added, strawberry, peach rings, sour watermelon, which is like that sour watermelon Sour Patch Kids. It comes like in a thing, or Jolly Rancher flavors. So there were a bunch of things that we looked at and we were like, how can we mimic that? How can we mimic that and then keep it within line of the product development that we're doing?
Okay.
So that's how we kind of thought about it, was like looking at that candy, taking it back to R&D and saying, make a flavor that tastes like this.
And are you, when you launch, are you testing these, or how does that kind of launch process work?
Usually, yeah, we test it. So we'll make a bunch of samples. We'll send out a bunch of samples to different people to try and say, hey, what do you think of this flavor? What do you think of this flavor? We always have some flavors in the work, but that was kind of our core 6 flavors throughout 2024. Now we're approaching the end of 2024. We're working on a couple more flavors.
Yep.
We also had launched another SKU at the same time. So when we launched Creatine Gummy, we had 6 flavors of that. Then we added a sleep product, and then TikTok had come back to us and say, can you launch something else? We launched a protein brownie with 6 additional flavors in a multi-pack. So we expanded from like 1 product to over 10 in the course of like a couple months, real quickly.
How did you find that process? And is that you kind of heading that up?
That was a little difficult. The gummy side of the portion, we felt that we really had a grip on. Going into like the brownie side, it was a little bit more complicated because, we didn't really have a purchasing department. So we had to,
it's a completely different type of product.
Completely different type of product. We were used to the manufacturing at gummy manufacturing facilities, right? Where everything's really in-house. A lot of the ingredients are the same base and you're just changing, a flavor or something like that. But with like brownies, for example, we had to purchase all the raw ingredients ourselves, which is nothing that we had done before, right? So it was like going from 0 to having a purchase orders of like, 20 different ingredients and flavors and packaging and paying this people on time. It was really a tragedy and a disaster on our part, trying to lead that. So we learned from that lesson, right? Stick to what you know for sure, but try to expand and use turnkey manufacturers for the most part. Don't really try to dabble in buying your own raws, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. And another point, so this is very rare. I think you're one of our only brands that does this. You manufacture in the US, right?
We do. Yeah. All of our products are proudly made in the USA. Yeah.
Okay. And why? What's the thought process behind that? And did you always do it that way?
We always did it like that. Yeah. So one is...
Because it's high cost, right? Like... Surely.
It's I would say slightly higher cost. At scale, you tend to come the costs come pretty down when you're at scale. Most of the things when you go to the grocery store are made in the US. We're not importing a lot of food products and supplements and things like that. A lot of them are made in the US. Like probably I'd say 70 to 80% of the supplements are made in the US. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the gist that I get from it. But it was really important to us to one, be in kind of control of the quality. So if we have an issue, like we can pull up to the manufacturing facility within a couple hours flight or a couple hours drive and say, hey, what's going on? This is the problem. But when you're detached to an overseas, point of contact that's a 16 to 17 hour flight away, things get a little lost in translation. Yeah. That's one. And at scale, I don't think it works well. Okay. I think, sure, if you go on Alibaba and find a product and start selling it, a couple hundred units that can ship by air. But when you start talking about tens of thousands and 20,000, hundreds of thousands of units, it just doesn't make sense to go to China unless you have a really strong supply chain, and for us, it was like also a food thing. A lot of people I know go to China, but like we didn't want to sell Chinese gummies to people. So we thought that would be weird if it said made in China on the package. So we kept everything in the United States, but just so it could be an arm's length away if we had any issues with it.
Okay. Yeah. And next, I want to touch on operational efficiency. Yeah. So I remember we had a call once. I think it was just one of our check-ins. Yeah. And you told me that your kind of like main focus that month was on, I think it was a pretty significant kind of margin saving on packaging. Can you just talk to that?
So yeah, originally we had everything in these plastic bottles. It was the design was like a plastic bottle, and then you had the lid and the seal interior with a label. So each obviously has a cost, maybe a couple cents for the label, a couple cents for whatever. The jar and the lid and the seal all comes together, but it's also a process. And we're transitioning to these Mylar bags that had a resealable top. So instead of having to buy labels and jars and lids, you could singleize that into one little pouch that's resealable for the consumer. So one, it benefits the customer because it's less plastic. It's more eco-friendly than having one-time use plastic bottles. It saves the company money because those plastic bottles weigh more. So it's costs more in shipping to ship those bottles, and it costs more to produce those bottles. So if you can transition that into a Mylar bag, you can save on the shipping cost and the actual cost of the bag, the container itself to ship it out. So, when you're talking about moving a large quantum of products through a network, you want to increase operational efficiency where you can. And if you can make a slight tweak in packaging, that's going to save, a couple cents, maybe a quarter multiplied by hundreds of thousands tends to be quite a chunk of change. When you're talking about small quantities, it may not make much of a difference, but when you start to be scaling, you want to make sure that you're looking at all these things. You're negotiating with all your suppliers to get the best rates for volume discounts and things like that.
Okay. And I know your background is kind of very different to physical products and kind of e-com as a whole. Have you got any other kind of tips or learnings on the kind of production logistics side of the business?
In terms of someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, you mean?
Yeah, or just stuff that you've learned that you didn't know before.
I mean, I would say don't trust anyone.
I think that's a general business tip.
It's a general business tip. A lot of people will overpromise and underdeliver all the time in manufacturing, in business, in agencies, in e-com, and really everywhere. Everybody's out to, get something. It's really hard to find good people. For the most part, I think coming down to it, you have to get out of that mentality that, most of the 9-to-5 people have is, you have to approach it two ways. The 9-to-5 approach, corporate style, and the entrepreneurship style. But in my opinion, what has worked best for me is I have experience from both. Mm-hmm. I was, in the entrepreneurial space, and I have, that's my spirit for pretty much most of my life since I was a little kid. And then, I had corporate experience working for a consulting firm, and being able to merge those two and apply it to whoever you're speaking to in your business, right? So if you're speaking to someone, let's say for your account manager at TikTok, who is a corporate person, they're working a 9-to-5, right? You have to be able to relate to that person. You have to be able to speak to that person in their language, in their vernacular. And then also you're talking to other entrepreneurs and business owners, you have to be able to speak with them as well. So having that ability to kind of code switch to whoever you're talking to and not just going one route 100% all the way, being able to dance around and say, okay, I'm going to talk to this person this way. I'm going to talk to this person this way. That's really one of the key goals and key factors that really make somebody, I think, efficient at business and successful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the future. So I know recently you've launched a few different brands. Can you just talk about the kind of what's going on there and the reasoning behind it?
Yeah. So, we'd launched Beast Bites back last year in April 2023. And then in November 2023, we also registered for brands called Lullabites and Vital Source Nutrition. Lullabites was based to be like a sleep product that's melatonin free. And then Vital Source was like an assortment, like a holistic wellness brand. They did like, we do Shilajit gummies, sleep gummies, vaginal probiotics, all sorts of stuff, mushroom gummies and the like, sea moss. What we really found recently was the feminine balance gummies, or what we call the vaginal probiotic, really took off on TikTok. So we wanted to start those up as like, well, in gummy manufacturing, right? You can create similar products pretty quickly and relabel them and appeal to different demographics of people. So Beast Bites may appeal to males under 30 who go to the gym And the sleep product that we have may appeal to those same people, but repackaged can appeal to a broader, 40-year-old women who don't want to take melatonin, right? That's in a different package that's like a star shape and things like that. So we're able to take kind of some of the same workings that we've already done, apply it in different packaging and reach a different demographic that we didn't have access to before. And that was really the focus with the other two brands that we have in-house.
So it's kind of similar marketing and product roadmaps,
similar
and applying it to a different demographic.
Similar products, similar marketing, all on TikTok, very focused there, and just driving to specific demographics of people and reaching out to those people that we don't have in Beast Bites, for example.
How do you have the confidence to do that when, Beast Bites is killing it and some would say you guys should just focus 100% of your time on that?
We do. We all work roughly 50, 60, 70 hours a week to make sure that all three are running the best that they can be and having people in place to monitor each of the others. Obviously, the other two don't have a retail arm. They're not as big, but they're growing, right? And we want to make sure that we're allocating a lot to them. But now there's a lot of efficiency because you built upon the Beast Bites affiliate network, and we have all these relationships with these agencies, and we can go back and say, you guys did great with Beast Bites. We have this new brand, a new product that's also taking off. We think that, the women in your server on your Discord and your list could benefit from using the Vital Source probiotics, for example. And they weren't, those people in that Discord or that server or that group are not promoting the creatine gummies for Beast Bites, but we can activate those people to promote a different product. And we're already working with that agency on Beast Bites. It's just like, hey, this is for Beast Bites, this is for Lullabites, this is for Vital Source. Pick the best affiliates for each brand and let them do the work on that, like how they want to split that up. But it's like one agreement. You're working with the same team across all three, but you can utilize more people in your group and not just say, okay, only the guys who are age 30 and under are going to promote this product. Now they have access to the women too, and the 40-year-old women and men who may not be into the gym or whatever.
Okay. And then final question is, what's next for Beast Bites?
Oh boy, that's a pretty tough question, but I would say we're just going to keep gambling and spinning the wheel and just see where life takes us.
Perfect. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Well, look, Wes, thank you so much for coming on. I think you've dropped insane amounts of value, so I really do appreciate it. Where should people, if they want to get in touch, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn pretty much. I'm pretty active there for all the people who are pretty corporate. And you can find me on Twitter if you're on that side as well.
Okay. Is that an anonymous account or is that?
No, it's my account, at Wes Kuza.
Nice. And then final question, do you have any other guests that you think would be a good fit to come on the podcast?
I think I might have a few. I'm not going to name names, but I think I might have a few for you.
We'll catch up afterwards.
Surely.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. It was great to have you here. Wes has dropped an insane amount of knowledge. Please watch the whole thing. Go back and go through some of the stuff he was saying about TikTok because, he's absolutely crushing it and now doing it with multiple brands. So thank you.